And Betsy's here.
Hey, hi. Sorry for
Betsy's our secretary,
Lovely.
and Philip is our vice president and education chair, responsible for a lot of the great talks we are able to present here.
Fantastic.
And Debbie is coming if she's not here already. Anyway, and Marilyn, where are you from?
Hi, I'm Anchorage, Alaska.
Oh my
Hey.
gosh. We miss
Glad to
your,
be here.
we miss your society.
We do too.
Yeah. Hope we can resurrect.
Yeah. Hopefully, we'll try at some point. Hopefully.
Yes, absolutely.
And Emily, tell me where you're from. We don't see your face. Emily Dean?
Uh, yes,
Oh,
hi.
there she
From
is.
yeah, Chicago, First Society.
Chicago. What's the temperature there now?
It's not bad today. It was in the 75.
That's pretty darn good.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Down here in California, we're waiting for the cold weather, but so far, very nice. So
Hmm.
this may be the only time in the year where the north and the south are sort of in the same temperature range.
Hmm.
Yes, and Mr. Dr. Richard Prince, welcome. You
Thank
look
you,
like
Gard.
you have your hand up. Are you waving at us? Are you raising
No, I
your
was trying to turn the camera on.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's usually down there at the lower left, where it says video, and maybe there's even a little caret that might be the right thing to click.
And Jimmy, where are you living these days? Are you up in Boise?
No, I'm in California, Southern California, Fontana.
Fontana. Wonderful. I spent 4 lovely years in Claremont, just up the road a piece.
Oh, yeah, that's a beautiful city.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, welcome everyone. And with your permission, Dr. Calabrese, we'll do a little meditation before we get started. Is that okay?
Well, I
Yeah.
have a couple of announcements, so we get the
Oh,
business part out of the way.
yes. Let's get all that riffraff out of the way,
Yeah,
Don.
let's do that.
Yeah, let's do riffraff.
Need
Well, I
that.
wanted to notify you that we will be having our next gathering in November. That's for Thanksgiving. And it's for in-person locals. We only have a couple of meetings a year in person. The rest are all by lovely Zoom, the miracle of Zoom. And it's in person, but I'm working on cooking up a special video film that we may be able to share with everyone. And so give us keep watching your emails and we'll keep you posted. I'm looking forward to seeing if we can establish that or not. And I think that's it.
That
Oh, please put your emails in the chat so I can notify you. I do quickly want to know how you found out about us for this particular meeting. If you got a constant contact, then that means we have your email. And if you got it from the mini messenger or some other source, we don't. Did anyone get it from other than having an actual flyer sent to your email?
I got it from the mini messenger.
Okay, well, if you could put your email in our chat, then we will get directly to you.
Okay.
Anyone else? Darlene? And Emily, you got yours by,
Mini messenger.
okay, off to the chat for us. I do appreciate it so much. We just want to send you notices, nothing else.
Okay,
Yeah.
Linda McIntyre just told me about it, so she hasn't gotten on yet. We were on there she is. We were talking on the phone and she mentioned it, so that's how I learned about it.
Oh,
Very
good. Well, then we'll see you many times in the future.
Mhm.
Okay, Phil, take it away. You do introductions of our speaker.
Well, yeah, we could do that, but why don't we have the speaker, or do you want to start with that? Or do you want me to introduce him first?
Well, some may not know about his fame yet.
Diane, you caused me to laugh.
Well, I see that. I'll do it as often as possible.
I'm wondering what happened here. What's,
Yeah, there's something weird on my screen.
We are
Yeah.
populating the
rejoin.
universe. Yeah, this is wild.
who's taking over this?
And who's Greg Phillips?
That's
You know,
me. I'm just putting my email in the chat. I don't know what I'm doing else.
Well, that shouldn't cause the screen to go crazy.
You shouldn't.
No.
Well, we can go ahead with the program. And
Phil,
maybe Phil
did you
could get us
Did you share screen by accident, Philip?
It's somehow turned on to whiteboard mode.
And I'm wondering-
Yeah, I think that could have been me. I apologize.
all right.
There we go.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm allowing people
That
to
helps.
share.
That's better. Everybody's back.
Difference.
I saw a button that said stop, Greg, and I stopped you.
Well done.
Okay, well, Mr. Calabrese, how shall we proceed? Do you want to do 3 minutes of silence?
Yeah, let's do that, and then I'll introduce you.
That's a good idea. So I'd like to introduce you all to God the Father, God the Mother, Spirit of Truth. And I always begin my classes at the University of Nevada with 3 minutes of silence. And I have discovered, Steve Finland, that it improves the quality of the conversation. So if you will just sort of allow yourself to notice where you are, notice your body, notice any tension in your body, anything in your shoulders, go ahead and roll it out. Anything in your neck, go ahead and move it. And taking a few deep breaths, breathing in twice as fast as we breathe out. Just let yourself be filled with that wonderful energy called oxygen. And we'll go ahead and we'll take 3 minutes to enter what I call the cave of the heart, the place where our adjuster dwells within the depths of our own being, there to be embraced in unconditional love and to embrace that incredible fragment of infinite love and compassion and hope. So, here we go. Heavenly Father and Divine Mother, we just want to say thank you. We want to say thank you for everything, for allowing us to be and share this little moment of time and space with each other. Thank you for the friendships with many of the people on this screen that I have been blessed by for decades in some cases, and for a few years in other cases. And each of those friendships, for me, signify the incredible reality of personality and the fact that I may not have seen a Dick Prince for a few years. I am deeply connected to my friend Dick, and to my friend Phil, and to my friend Diane, to my friend Stephen, to so many of you. We give thanks for our personalities. We give thanks for these minds of ours. We give thanks for the fact that Jesus decided to come to this planet.
Amen.
And wow, wasn't that a fortunate situation?
Yes, indeed.
And so we thank you for all of these blessings in the name of all that is holy. Amen.
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 Amen. Well,
Thank you very much. I want to welcome Jesus with a little glass that he said he'd join us with in the next life. I'm going to have a little taste of it right now.
Oh,
And he said he would be with us. So thank you and welcome, Jesus. So I want to introduce our speaker. You all probably know him pretty well. I put his name in the in Google and I came up with a bio for him. Gard received his PhD from Pacific Graduate Institute in 2005. So maybe we should call him Dr. Jameson. Anyway, he teaches Chinese and Indian philosophy in the department of the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. And he's, prior to that, well, his tenure at this college, he spent 25 years before that practicing as a certified public accountant and financial planner. He's the author of 3 books, Footprints, and another one, Faithon,
Son of Apollo.
and our mystic moment, the Grand Epic of China. He's helped found and chairs the board of Children Advocacy Alliance and the Interfaith Council of Southern Nevada. He is the treasurer of Volunteer in Medicine in Southern Nevada, VMSN. He's also the founder of the Nevada Community Foundation, or helped found it. And he's also one of the trustees. And he's a great speaker. So here, I'm going to let you have it from here on here, Gard. I was in the summer study session, and I was impressed by what I heard and saw there. So and the title of this is The Significance of Personality in Partnership with God. So take it away, Gard.
Thanks, Brother Phil, and welcome to all of you. And as I say, I know most all of you and look forward to knowing you more. Maud, welcome. And yeah, so I'm in Las Vegas, Diane, for very good reasons. I'm doing redemption work here. My father is the only person that ever got a ticket going down Las Vegas Boulevard. and he was doing 25 miles an hour. And you say, so? Well, there were some mitigating circumstances. It was at 2 a.m. He was in his bathrobe. He was drunk. He was in reverse. And the person in the back was not my mother. So, so I
Oh my
came
gosh.
back to sort of clean up after him. He was a very big figure in my life and helped get me an education. And right now I'm working with girls in Pakistan to help them get educations. And we're so proud. We have one little girl who, when she was probably 8 years old, said, someday I want to be a doctor, because there are no doctors here in the valleys in Pakistan underneath the towers of the Himalayas. And today she's heading to medical school.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah. And so, we're just doing what we can on this rebellion-fested, default declared world called Urantia. And each of us is doing our own thing. And I will tell you, the biggest lesson for me along the journey has been the significance of personality. So, as Phil said, this summer in Unity Village, I shared a brief PowerPoint, which I've modified a little bit, Phil, but I will go ahead and pull this up, and we will start, and we will have some stopping points to have some conversation. So if you have any questions along the way, please write them down, and let's have some dialogue. As I tell my students at the university, I'm a little too old for monologue. I like dialogue. All right, so here we go. Take a look at this one. There we go. Yes. And so I sometimes think that we do not appreciate the significance of personality and realize the far-reaching implications of personality. And in the very first week of my classes at the university, I tell them, Steve, that this is a really pretty simple course. It's a game show. And door number one is fear, anger, and anxiety, which I call the biological operating system. And door number two is love, joy, and peace, which I call the spiritual operating system. And I tell my students, you have been taught very well the biological operating system. And so you live in a culture, anybody noticed, of fear, anxiety, and anger. So there's a lot of that going around these days. And as Chuang-Tzu, a great Chinese philosopher, said, you've been swindled because your birthright is door number two. And as Rumi says, the lover is ever drunk with love. He dances with ecstasy and delight. And 43 years into my marriage, I dance quite frequently with my dear wife, Florence. I still regard us being on our honeymoon. And personality is sort of the gateway to that realization of ecstasy and delight. So I'm inviting you all on a journey of ecstasy and delight. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I want to share with you, first of all, something really important. And you all know this, that a person is a beloved child of God. An individual is an isolated child of nature. And the Urantia book introduces the word personality or person very significantly for all of us to appreciate that we are persons who have three dimensions. We have sacred dignity within the eyes of the universe, within the eyes of the divine. We have beloved community of which we are a part, whether we know it or not, and it's better to know it because that creates a certain amount of joy. And we each have uniquely a gift. And so when my wife, an obstetrician gynecologist, delivers a child at one of the local hospitals, she always tells the parents, you have just co-created with the Creator a child without duplicate in infinity, irreplaceable in all eternity, who is here to manifest a gift unique to them. And so in as far as any individual is not given that opportunity to manifest that unique gift, we are all diminished. we are all diminished. And that's why, for me, projects in Pakistan and Africa and other places are really, really important. And so, again, when we look at both Caligastia and Judas, who had some issues along the way, if any of you haven't noticed, we are told that they were both ultra individualistic. In other words, there was a quality of narcissism associated with them. They were deeply entrenched in the biological operating system and not very conversant with their connection with the divine and with those around them. So it's all about the we. So we're told in paper 1 that personality is in the supreme sense, is the revelation of God to the universe of universes. And what's fascinating to me is that, as Phil knows and others know, we're now with the James Webb Telescope able to see to the very, what we thought were the beginnings of the universe 13.7 billion years ago, at least those who don't read the Urantia book and are really smart about astrophysics. But now what we're seeing is beyond that moment in time, there are trillions of other galaxies that are already formed, which suggests that the universe is indeed much older. Imagine that. I think the Urantia book tells us that. So the key to understanding everything is personality. It is the alpha assumption. And I tell this to my students in class. I tell them, how many of you have taken geometry? And they all raise their hand. Aren't you proud of them, Phil? Geometry is a good class to have. And I tell them in geometry, we learn about axioms. And there are really only 4 fundamental axioms in all of reality. There is the axiom of matter, mind, spirit, and personality. And when we understand that those are connected to absolute existential realities, then personality begins to come alive. This is a wonderful piece of art from Russia. And I'm going to send my cursor over here. And if you can all see, I'm circling a little box. And the little box is at the table with the Trinity. This is the Trinity. And the little box, according to the art historians, actually was at one point a mirror that was stuck to the piece of art. And what it illustrates is that each of us has been invited to the table of the Trinity. And we know, in fact and in truth, that the Trinity dwells within each of us. So I get the privilege of teaching Chinese philosophy. And my friend Lao Tzu, who lived 2,500 years ago, has a wonderful saying that I think sums everything up. He says, if we want to become a sage, which is our birthright again, door number 2, in meditation, go deep into the heart. And that means that each of us in our own way need to open our hearts and minds to a certain quality of vulnerability, certain quality of humility as we go deep into the heart. Otherwise, we remain superficial. And as Lao Tzu again says, without awe, there will be disaster. Without depth, there will be disaster. And then he says, in serving others, be patient and kind. I don't know about all of you, but patience and kindness is a lesson I've had to learn along the way. And it isn't necessarily easy, but it is the best way to proceed. So vulnerability, as I said earlier, is the birthplace of love, community, joy, courage, compassion, and creativity. It is the source of hope, humility, and authenticity, according to Brene Brown. If you don't know Brene Brown, YouTube her. You'll see some great YouTubes on the importance of vulnerability, which I think is the key to everything. Howard Thurman, I was just back at Boston University, and he was the chaplain at Marsh Chapel there, where he was also the mentor of Dr. Martin Luther King. And he says, you see him there with Eleanor, ultimate security is discovered in ultimate vulnerability. This is the pathway to love. So how do we begin to open those qualities of vulnerability, which give us access to the presence and action of God, and also give us access to a quality of relationship with each other? So to know God and become like God, the supreme commandment, requires an experiential appreciation of and personal relationship to divinity, the Trinity, within the framework of expanding familial relationships. Confucius illustrates this very well. He says you begin with the self, and then there's a circle around that, which is family, and a circle around that, which is community, a circle around that, which is the nation or the state, and a circle around that, which is all within the 4 C's. In the days of Confucius, 2,500 years ago, they only knew about 4 C's. My model or my image, I oftentimes use the Boulder Dam as an image, but here I'm going to use the water wheel. The Trinity dwells within each of us. The thought adjuster, the Spirit of truth, and the Holy Spirit inspire, impress, and empower us to align with divine reality, with love, which becomes mercy or compassion, which becomes ministry or service. But we begin with love, and that translates into compassion, which translates into ministry and service. And that, my friends, is the divine water wheel: love, mercy, ministry. Without all 3 operational in our lives, our relationships both with the divine and with each other are stagnant. I'll say that again. Without all 3 operational, love, compassion, and ministry, our relationship with the divine and with each other is stagnant. Our connection is stagnant. In every relationship, we have an invitation to turn the wheel. And what we know from the lovely pages of the Revelation is that God's love is unconditional and that it is always flowing. As I tell my students, it's a 24/7 download. And the question is, are we receptive? Because if we're not experiencing that love, if we're not experiencing that joy, if we're not experiencing that peace, then I've got something to say to you. It's not on God's end. It's on our end.
Amen.
And that is a function of how we begin to sort of alleviate ourselves of the cobwebs of trauma, personal, generational, and collective. So a very surprising statement in the Urantia Revelation is that self-consciousness, this is a big one, Phil. Self-consciousness is in essence a communal consciousness, God and man. So it's not about us. It's not about the individual. It's about our relationship with divine realities, which I call the vertical dimension, and with human realities, the horizontal dimension. As a primary attribute of personality, self-consciousness is impossible without mourning awareness of others. We get that word mourning from the 5th beatitude: blessed are you when you mourn the discomfort and disease of others, for you shall be comforted, right? So opening our eyes and looking around us. This strips away the pretense of individualism as a solo experience, mere egoism or narcissism. As Buber says, he's my favorite of all philosophers, we are relational beings, and in the beginning was the relation. As a solo experience, individualism becomes narcissism, an unhealthy quality, which we saw in Caligastia and Judas, and we can see all around us. As a relational being, a person, we exist in a fabric of expanding circles of connection, which I've just described. What do you really know about personality and its connection to others and to God? That's what we're going to explore for just a moment this afternoon, with your permission. So my Nana, my grandmother, used to occasionally go to Africa, and there she would meet this fellow. Anybody know who this fellow is?
Schweitzer?
Schweitzer.
Dr. Albert Schweitzer, who was, as Steve knows, the greatest musician, philosopher, theologian in Europe at the time. And he got a medical degree, packed his bags, and went to Africa. And all of his friends said, Albert, you're crazy. This was right before the First World War. And they asked him, why are you going? And his answer was, because it is needed. What if I told you, Urantia book reader, that your appreciation of the Revelation is deficient? Would you be offended?
Nope.
Every one of us does not get the significance of personality. If we did, we would be a very different, and you see the emphasis, come unity. We would be a very different community. That is the opportunity and the challenge. And the great challenge, according to the book, is to become living love. So what is this thing called personality? I think you all have a pretty good idea, so we'll go through it pretty quickly. And actually, Phil, can you read this?
Sure. What is personality? The personality of mortal man is neither body, mind, nor spirit, neither is it the soul. The universal Father is the secret of the reality of personality, the bestowal of personality, and the destiny of personality. Personality is a level of deified reality and ranges from the mortal and midwayer level of the higher mind activation of worship and wisdom up through the morontial and spiritual to the attainment of finality of personality status.
Thank you, Brother Phil. And what we know from the Urantia book is down here on this planet, we're just embryos. We're embryonic souls. And so I say, let's give ourselves a little self-compassion and realize we're not going to get the whole ball of wax while we're down here, but we can have an inkling about how it operates and what's important. And I say at the core of it is personality. And we know from the book that the thought adjuster dwells at the nucleus of the soul or personality. So, Brother Steve, could you read this one?
What is personality? It would be presumptuous to attempt the definition of personality bestowed by the Universal Father, who can love and can be loved. Spiritual attainment, vertical dimension. Characterized by morality, moral insight, horizontal dimension. Gift of God, dedication by the free will to the doing of the will of God. Spiritual journey, longitudinal dimension. Relatively creative or co-creative, as written in Creative Personality by Flewelling. Devoid of identity, absolutely unique. Changeless in the presence of change, may survive mortal death with identity in the surviving soul. Eternal mystery of eternal value.
Thanks, Steve. And again, we read before, it's a kind of a funny thing. It's not our identity. Our soul is our identity, but it kind of is our identity because there's no other Stephen Finland in the entire universe of universes. There's no other Phil Calabrese or Dick Prince in the entire universe of universes. And we will know each other by that stamp, by what we might call spiritual identity, but I don't know, that's going out on a limb perhaps. But it is what marks us as unique in the entire universe of universes. There will never, ever be another Linda McIntyre in the entire universe. She's the one, and she has a gift, and we need to encourage her to manifest that gift while she's here on the planet, because the planet needs it. So it's an eternal mystery, and this is a lovely image by Blake. It's the stairway to paradise. It literally is the stairway to paradise. There's a great song called Stairway to Paradise that I love. And it is the vertical dimension. We're told in the Urantia book, personality is three-dimensional. It is vertical, horizontal, and longitudinal. So it is literally our way to paradise. This is my beautiful wife in front of our clinic. Last year we saw 14,000 people.
Oh my goodness.
She is, to me, a warrior princess, and she is the one who I just followed her, and she said, we're going to start a clinic for people who have no access to healthcare. And this is the horizontal dimension. And whatever way we decide to manifest that, that is your decision and your path. But we each have a horizontal dimension. And as I tell my students, one of the easiest ways to do it is to go out and dose everybody you meet. Phil, you know what dose means, Phil?
I'm not positive of that one.
Well, We're going to dose everybody with dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. And we're going to do it how? We're going to smile at them. And we're told in the Urantia Revelation that Jesus oftentimes transformed the most those to whom he said the least, and he transformed many, many people by virtue of just a smile.
Yeah.
So spiritual insight and moral steadfastness enabled Van and Amadon, I will say, to engage in clear thinking, wise reasoning, logical judgment, sincere motivation, unselfish purpose, intelligent loyalty, experiential memory, disciplined character, and unquestioning dedication to the doing of the will of the Father in paradise. In other words, Van was living and Amadon were living in difficult times. I think everybody agrees with that. It was a difficult moment on planet Earth, and they had very difficult decisions to make, but they maintained integrity throughout it all through their own spiritual communion and their own moral engagement with others. And it led to clear thinking and wise reasoning, so on and so forth. And so the neuroscience is now in, and it's very clear that when we have a spiritual practice, when we engage in moral behavior, we're opening up not only the head, but the heart. And we're opening up the executive function of the head, the prefrontal cortex, by reducing the amount of the stress hormone called cortisol, which occludes or precludes our thinking function, our wise reasoning. So again, these are the pathways to door number 2, which is, again, our birthright. I told you earlier that Martin Buber is sort of go-to person. Somebody needs to be muted, and I can't mute everybody. Is that Beth, or who is that?
Sorry, I'll mute just a second.
That'd be great. Thank you. So he's my go-to person, and again, he represents a group of people in the 20th century who were called the personalists. Why? Well, I'll give you the reason. And let's see, Miss Diane, could you read this piece about Martin Buber?
Sure. Anchoring story, Martin Buber, Wisdom. Martin Buber's book, I and Thou, describes 2 fundamental modes of relating to the world, I, thou, and I, it. The I-thou relationship is characterized by genuine encounter and dialogue, wherein the other is seen as a unique person of value and not an object to be used. In contrast, the I-it relationship treats the other as an object of experience, a means to an end.
Great. Thank you, Diane. So this is a very profound book that he wrote back in the 1920s. And it basically says we have one of 2 choices to make as we encounter another person. We can either encounter them as an it or as a thou. And if we encounter them as an it, we have just depersonalized them and depersonalized ourselves. If we encounter them as a thou, we have just enhanced the quality of personal relationship in them and in ourselves. It's very simple, and it can be tested. And Buber went on to say that between the I and the thou is the mystery of God. When we treat people as a thou, we actually are inviting that 24/7 download, that presence of God, into our lives and into our experience. So a little more on Buber. Every person born into the world represents something new, something that never existed before, something original and unique. If there had been someone like her in the world, there would have been no need for her to be born. We have heard that line before. Again, what my wife says when she delivers a child: without duplicate infinity, irreplaceable in all eternity, right? Each of us is absolutely unique. Now, this is the story of Buber's conversion. So, Mark, are you able to read this? You're on mute, my friend. Yeah, you are on mute. I can
Yeah,
try.
I just asked him. Mark, can you unmute?
Yeah, there you
There.
go.
Okay, got it. Ready?
Yeah.
Anchoring story. Martin Buber, personalist. At the University of Berlin, young Professor Martin Buber, who approached by a student who asked for his attention. 3 times Professor Buber let the student know that he did not have time for him, and he was late for an important appointment. Professor Buber later was informed that the student had committed suicide. This was a tremendous moment of conversion for Professor Buber. Why?
Mark, you want to venture a guess why that was his conversion?
We seem to be
Just it seems like it was a pretty strategic moment that he missed.
Yeah. Was he treating that student as a thou?
No.
No.
I heard a no.
not much. Not much.
Not much. I
Not
mean,
enough.
at the very least, he could have said, I can't see you now, but let's you and I set aside a time to get together. But he didn't even go that far. So again, we have what I call an anchoring story. When you really want to understand personalism, that's a good anchoring story to appreciate. And I think what all of us can agree to is that we live in a very transactional culture. Everything that comes to us from media suggests that the only value in reality comes through transactions, through material transactions. And so we are bombarded with an I-it culture. And I think one of the reasons why the Urantia Revelation is here is to begin to turn that tide back. And each of us can begin to do that by dosing each person. And if we find somebody we can help, to stop and perhaps help as we move along our way. So, any other comments on that before I move on? Yes, Jimmy.
I was just going to say it was a missed opportunity to connect because, and the one things we've learned is that there's no coincidence. Everybody you meet is there for a purpose. We don't always understand or recognize the purpose, but even if we leave them smiling, even if it's just that second, we don't know. But if we always remember that we don't want to lose an opportunity, and then we never know how far reaching that can go.
An opportunity to bless them and to be blessed, to love and be loved. And so my favorite song is Nature Boy, which is the greatest lesson you'll ever learn is just how to love and be loved. So this is really ABC stuff. And so is there any reason why any of us, as we go out into the world after this call, can't smile at every person we meet?
No.
Yeah, I'm with you, Sandra. Thank you. So let's carry on. I've got another little story which I'll share with you here. And anybody recognize this face?
Marianne Williamson.
Yeah, and what is she famous for, Sherry?
Well, she ran for president of the United States recently, but she also brought A Course in Miracles to the public eye many decades ago.
Yeah. And what was her emphasis when she wrote her books? What value did she really articulate well?
Love.
Love, love, love.
You got it.
Love, love, love.
Let's go back to the Beatles. All right.
Yeah.
So I get a call one day that Miss Williamson is coming through Las Vegas and she would like to be introduced to some people. And I say, sure. And I'm familiar with the fact that she reads the Urantia book or is familiar with the Urantia book. And so we have a lunch. And on the right side of me is my friend Amy Ayub, who is a survivor of sex trafficking. On the left side of me is Marianne Williamson. And Marianne Williamson, as part of her platform, is saying, because she's in Nevada, saying, I want to create a real platform to help sex workers in their trade. And so I'm getting kicked under the table by my friend Amy Ayub. Her jaw is dropping. And I turn to Marianne and I say, Marianne, I know your background a little bit, the Course in Miracles, and that you've written so many great books on love. But I also know that you come from a Jewish family, and you're probably familiar with the name Martin Buber and the book I, Thou. And she says, of course I am. And I said, well, here's my one question for you. In sex work, is it an I-it or an I-thou relationship? And Marianne just stops. And for about a minute, she's silent. And she says, I think I may need to rethink my position about that trade. And I said, I thank you for rethinking your position about that trade, because I live here and I'm pretty familiar with the consequences of that trade. And it's not a pretty picture. And it is a transaction. And it is a devaluation, an objectification. So across the street from me, we built a place called the Center for Healing for Victims of Sex Trafficking, which accommodates about 70 girls. And if you were to hear any of their stories, it would bring tears to your eyes.
Yeah, it's not like the movie Never on Sunday. It's not anywhere near being cool.
No.
And it leads to a lot of other evil things.
It does.
And it was really great in the Ransher book where Jesus took the prostitutes to that woman's house and turned them over to her, unbeknownst, and they found positions for them.
And that's what we're doing at the Healing Center. And it takes
That's great.
because the level of trauma, as you know, is significant. So what I want to share with you is that there are 3 core competencies for a spiritual life. And there are 3 dimensions to personality, according to the Urantia book in the paper on personality survival. And those 3 dimensions are the vertical, as I've said, horizontal, and longitudinal. And the vertical requires in its competency for each of us to develop a spiritual practice by which we engage in communion with the divine. And as we're told by Peter, neglect not your daily worship. So cultivating that competency is extremely important in our journey. And it's what, for me, brings joy to my life. And then out of that vertical dimension comes the realization or the awareness of the need for the moral dimension or moral insight, which is now, what am I going to do with that spiritual experience? How am I going to take that experience into the world? Well, I begin with a smile, and then I just find various ways in which to engage that moral insight, which we've been able to do. And then out of the vertical and horizontal comes the longitudinal, which, as one of you suggested earlier, involves a certain degree of serendipity, synergy, and synchronicity. As we begin to align ourselves with God's will, we begin to see doors opening. We begin to see energy flowing in our life. We begin to see time in a different way. We begin to see space in a different way, and relationships in a different way. And so again, this chart, I think, kind of says it all in terms of what we need to, on a daily basis, be looking at in our own lives. So what I tell my students is that there are 3 rights. In Buddhism, we call 3 jewels for every personality. The first is to experience their own dignity, their divine dignity. And the second is, to use the words of Martin Luther King, to experience beloved community. And the third is to experience their own unique gift. We call it God's will. and to manifest that gift in their lives. And every person possesses three fundamental attributes as a person: self-consciousness, self-direction, and individuality, which includes unity and the uniqueness and dignity. The next section I want to share with you is a pilgrimage I took recently to Boston University in June. And I went there because this is the place where Dr. King received his dissertation. This is the place where a group of individuals got together and developed the philosophy of personalism. You all probably are familiar with the fact that that we probably wouldn't have the cosmology of the Urantia revelation if we didn't have the Hubble telescope. The Hubble telescope opened up a whole new vista of awareness. We began to see other galaxies and other ways in which the universe was emerging and evolving. Well, the same is true, in my opinion, of the personalists. We wouldn't have had the Urantia revelation if we had not had the personalists. So I have actually a couple of relatives who lived in Boston, one who was there in 1776, moving the cannonade on the British fleet, and his name was William Henry. And another side to the family was Admiral William Howe, who was the commander of the British fleet. So, Diane, I'm just a little schizophrenic. And then in the 1850s, I had another William Henry ancestor who made pianos in Boston. And he sent pianos to the South, and he brought back crates. And the crates he brought back to Boston, Jimmy, you want to guess what was in the crates?
Arms.
Slaves.
Slaves.
Of the Underground Railroad. So again, what we do is what we can with what we have, where we are, with the time we have. We do what we can to make this world a better place. And Dr. King has taught us that. These are a series of individuals who represent this school of personalism. Gordon Parker Bowen was the first to call himself a personalist. Ralph Tyler Llewellyn taught at the University of Southern California for 50-some years, and he opened up a journal called The Personalist. Albert Cornelius Knudsen is a human source. Many of his quotes are used in the first 5 papers of the Urantia revelation. Edgar Brightman was an amazing teacher who was the teacher of Martin Luther King. And he introduced something called process theology, along with others. There were people on the West Coast who were involved. And process theology suggests the reality of the supreme. So these insights from these individuals were extraordinary. And Howard Thurman, I've already talked to you about, an amazing person. The Gospel of the Disinherited, I encourage you to read that book. It is worth reading. And all of these individuals helped advance. Now, what I will tell you is that there was an ideological battle on the planet between the philosophers of Russia and the philosophers of the West. And for the moment, the philosophers of Russia have won. Personalism as a school is pretty much dead. And I think that's one of the reasons why we have the Urantia revelation, is to bring it back to life and to tell people, to tell the world that personality, the personality of God first and foremost, and then the personality of each other represents something incredible. That if we only understood just that one concept, if we truly understood it, there would never be another war. We would turn in our guns. We would begin to cultivate an era of light and life. So these are some of the human sources. Again, Albert Knudsen, this is from paper 1. You can see again, and I want to tip of the hat, wag of the tail to Matthew Block and to Steve Dreyer and others who have helped to uncover these sources and to make the correlations. But again, you can see that the Revelatory Commission was highly indebted to the School of Personalism and to its awareness of the power of personality and the importance of personality as a primary assumption in our approach to reality. This is Ralph Tyler Flewelling. All of the Mediterranean lectures, you will note there is a word with every one of those, almost every one of those lectures, which says to paraphrase. Whenever you see that verb, to paraphrase, you know they're tapping a human source. And so all of those lectures came from a book called Creative Personality, which is available in reprint, and it's worth looking at, because what you will see and what I've seen is that the Revelatory Commission was much, much better in its articulation of the concept, but that these individuals, Ralph Tyler Flewelling and Albert Knudsen, were extraordinary in their own insights. And then over in Europe, there was a fellow named Nicholas Berdyaev. Not many people know Berdyaev, but Berdyaev was an extraordinary individual who nailed it. He understood personality probably better than any of the other personalists. Out of his school came John Paul II, who was a personalist, and others in Europe. But again, as I say, the school of personalism or personality has died because of the culture of material secularism, which we find toward the end of the book, and which has been a plague upon the planet's culture from east to west. So Berdyaev talks about personality as the existential, absolute existential center. The continuous transcending of self is what the personality does. It's absolutely, when I read Berdyaev, it's like manna from heaven. And the other manna from heaven is Rufus Jones, who you may not know the name, but he won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1947 for his work after World War I. And any book that you pick up, if you're on the East Coast, I encourage you to drive over to Haverford College and go to his library. Any book that you pick up, you will feel the spirit of truth alive and well in the words of those pages. And then our friend Martin Luther King. And a lot of people don't appreciate that he was, I asked many of my friends who are MLK fans. I'm about to go to Atlanta to Emory University to do some work with Richard Gere and Daniel Goleman and a bunch of people around the concept of compassion, but don't realize the significance and the underpinnings of Dr. King's philosophy. Mr. Calabrese, you have a question.
Well, I just wanted to add that it reminds me that God is changeless, and personality, they say, is changeless. And personality has will, freedom, relative freedom of choice. And isn't that amazing that God and personality are changeless, but it allows us to make choices? I just thought that was worth saying.
It is worth saying again and again and again. In Creative Personality, Ralph Tyler Flewelling says it's not just about artists and poets. It's about every one of us is a creative personality. Every one of us has a unique gift that we're here to create. So what is your gift, Diane? What is your gift, Mark, Jimmy, Steve? What is the gift? By the way, Steve's done incredible work in theology. I have your book, Steve, and I appreciate them greatly.
I should tell you what my next book is about. It's about personalism.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful.
And I'm going to include Berdyaev and the other Russians.
Yes. Yeah. They were significant. And he was tossed, as you know, he was tossed out of Russia because it wouldn't go along with material secularism. And he spent his years during the World War II in France, and they didn't touch him because he was a significant person. But the Nazis let him go, and he wrote some of his most incredible work there. He wrote a book called Freedom and Slavery, which is extraordinary.
Yeah.
You should know, again, personalism, this is Dr. King, gave me a metaphysical basis for the dignity and worth of all human personality. So if you listen to the I Have a Dream speech, you will hear personalism from the beginning to the end. And to deprive man of freedom is to relegate him to the status of a thing, it, rather than to elevate him to the status of a person. So just a few questions to meditate on. We'll have a moment to talk here in a second. I know we're coming to our end here. Do you feel the dignity of your own personality? Do you feel yourself part of beloved community? And do you feel supported in your aspiration to manage Phil? So I'm not going to show you the video because I think we're short on time, right, Phil?
Actually, no, we can go to 5 o'clock.
Holy mackerel.
Yeah,
that is
now
gift
we have
mana.
another hour.
That is manna from heaven. So I'm going to show you something, friends, which I've been involved with for the last 30 some years. And we're going to go to YouTube, and hopefully you can hear it. If not, you can see it. But this is called Camp Anytown Las Vegas. And we've been doing it for the last 30 years, where we teach the kids about personality through helping them understand their own bias, prejudice, and bigotry. And what I will tell you is they walk into camp thinking they don't have any of that. And after the first day, they've disabused themselves of that myth. And by the time they leave on the 4th day, they are a new person. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this up. Okay, now let me let me know if you can hear this, Phil.
Not yet.
Okay, I'm going to share now.
After 4 days at Camp Anytown, we were able to form a community filled with young people who now feel empowered to change the world, who now feel like they have the skills necessary to be able to go into their communities, to be able to do that. All delegates go into programs related to race, power, privilege, gender, and they learn about these topics not from a lecture-based perspective, but more from a hands-on perspective, where they're able to identify strategies and ways to reduce prejudice, biases in their very own communities. And we also recognize that themselves might even have those same prejudices and biases, and we go through a series of workshops to identify those and learning how to replace those or even remove those biases that they have.
All of our workshops were very inclusive, they were very eye-opening, they were very stuff you wouldn't talk about. Stuff that you wouldn't talk about in your school, stuff that you don't normally talk about with your family. It gave us a safe place where we could open up and talk about things that we never have the time or place to do.
I'm an exchange student from India. The favorite thing about the camp which I learned was about accepting each other. No matter what gender you are, no matter what color you have, just accept each other, because we all are humans and we need each other.
One of the most amazing things is experiencing new people, new cultures, being able to connect with other people that I don't usually connect with, and I really love coming together.
Throughout camp, everybody was so open and loving, and it just taught me that people aren't as scary as I think they are.
Being with people who has the exact same identical problems you have, it helps them a lot. Because they like, okay, I have people who actually love me here. I don't want to leave, I want to stay here. But they take that back home.
Even if you feel like you're open-minded, Camp Anytown will make you even have like wider perspective. And it's just like, it's such a great opportunity to face whether you're liberal, conservative, black, white, anything. I think it's perfect for everyone.
All looking for acceptance, and we all found it here. We all found love, we all found support, we all found friends, and the things that I've learned here, I'm gonna take with me for the rest of my life.
The best part is the camaraderie that you see when they come to dinner and they sit next to someone that they don't know, when they're outside doing roll call and they're getting competitive because they love and they believe in their camp and they think that their cabin is the best. It's something that only happens at Anytown.
After these 3 days, we consider ourselves a family.
Best turning point of my life.
And we're truly our family here.
We are Anytown!
that's
Wow, what
pretty cool, huh?
Excellent.
Received in the Life's Messy. Love it.
Oh, sorry. I
You know, and I'm more of the Life's Messy.
this
Clean it up, organize it, and put it into a bento box.
the Brene Brown there in the backdrop. Apologize. So again, what we're doing, and we're not using the word personality, but they get it. So Rico Ocampo, who is the camp director, who you saw there speaking a number of times, said when he first came at the age of 17, I will not be speaking to white people, and I will not be speaking to black people, and I will not be participating. Well, now he's the camp director, and he's married to a white lady, and he has a beautiful family. This is called the benign virus of love. And so again, I just want to suggest, I think sitting on this revelation, we got to do a lot more than just study groups and conferences. We've got to engage our communities. So our community is called Compassionate Las Vegas, and we have had two mayors, Oscar Goodman, who was, as a CPA, he was my client, and you may not know this, but you may have seen enough movies to know that if you're taking care of a mob figure or a lawyer for the mob, and you're the accountant, you're the first one who gets it in the back of the head. So, because you know where the numbers are. Anyway, Oscar was mayor for 12 years. His beautiful wife, Carolyn, was mayor for 13 years. And they both, after they saw this video, they said, you did that in 4 days? We said, yes. And many individuals have moved on from that camp to become state assembly people, state senators, number of head of the fire department, a number of positions, doing great things in our community. So unleashing the power of personality is really an opportunity for all of us. And I encourage us as bearers of the fifth epoch of revelation to take more seriously our moral or our horizontal dimension. And what are we doing in our communities? What are we doing to transform people where they are with what they've got? So any thoughts on that before I move on? I think I have another video after this, but you like Camp Anytown? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. We actually started a license plate. I actually show it to you. Oh, it's downstairs, but my daughter created it, and it shows a woman helping a man up the hill. It's Compassionate Las Vegas, and we derive revenue from it, and that revenue helps to support our camp.
Excellent.
And on the license plate, it says, live the golden rule.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. So if there are no other thoughts or questions, I'm going to move on, and then we'll have some time to just sort of talk. So some of you know about this project, Ubuntu Now. And it was in 1999 that I had the privilege of being in South Africa in Cape Town with Nelson Mandela and the Dalai Lama and a bunch of really cool people, and hearing this word Ubuntu, which I had never heard before. And Ubuntu means I am because we are because I am. So I am because we are declares the dignity of community, and we are because I am declares the dignity of each and every person and the importance of their personality. And so with my friend Pato and Antoinette, we have sort of unleashed the whirlwind in Uganda, which is a girls' orphanage, in Kenya, which is a school for unwed mothers, and in Zimbabwe, which is a school for kids from K through 12. And we're just finishing that up. So let me stop this, and I will take you to another video, and bear with me. Okay, where's my YouTube and Ubuntu Now? And it's really exciting. I'm heading over next year to see all these projects with Brother Pato and Antoinette. And it's happening. And it's the fatherhood of God. And we're sharing the Urantia revelation as we go through these communities. And the reception is absolutely phenomenal. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to bring it up and share. And here we go. Phil, give me the high sign if you can see this and hear it.
In Africa, there is something known as Ubuntu. I am because we are. We come together today to renew the ties that make us one. Beyond tribe, beyond community, beyond nation, even beyond the continent.
Naam, ni wakati wa moyo wa utu, ubuntu, kugusa watu wote wa dunia. Kwa sababu tu watoto wa Mungu mmoja, jamii moja. Amina.
When you realize your family is all of humanity, that's Ubuntu. Ubuntu. When you want more peace and unity in your community, that's Ubuntu. Ubuntu. When the love and respect I have for you is the same you have for me, that's Ubuntu. All the people near and far, I am because we are, and that's Ubuntu. Ubuntu. When we tell them, hey, the spirit of Ubuntu. It's just a way of life, you know. Hey, the spirit of Ubuntu. Yeah, man. You see, this life is like a school. We gotta learn to live the golden rule, treating our brothers and our sisters how we want to be treated too. Ooh, when I say namaste, the God in me sees the God in you. Jesus said we are all your children and told us to go and spread the good news right now. Ubuntu is incredible, exceptional and ethical, mystical and spiritual, theoretical and practical. In times like this, so critical, we need a higher principle to make compassion mutual, make respect reciprocal. When things become intentional and war is unacceptable, our blessings will be plentiful, life will be so wonderful. All for one and one for all people. Can you hear the call? It's time to tell the world about Ubuntu. When you realize your family, it's all of humanity, that's Ubuntu. Ubuntu. When you want more peace and unity, hey, in your community, that's Ubuntu. Ubuntu. When the love and respect I have for you is the same you have for me, that's Ubuntu. Tell all the people near and far, I am because we are, and that's Ubuntu. Ubuntu. We sing again. Hey, the spirit of Ubuntu. Yeah, man. Hey, the spirit of Ubuntu.
Naam, ni wakati wa moyo wa utu, Ubuntu, kuwaguza watu wote wa dunia, kwa sababu sote tu watoto wa Mungu mmoja, jamii moja. Amen.
So, my friends, it's happening, and we are creating a coalition, which is a global coalition through the United Religions Initiative. Oh, turn that off. Hold on a second. Okay, so we're creating a global initiative, and it's 1,200 cooperation circles in every continent around the planet, and they are adopting the spirit of Ubuntu. And you can go to spiritofubuntu.us to see the work that we're doing. And you can see the 7 pillars. So we're embedding 7 cultural principles into each community, and it is to be a proof point. And surprise, surprise, when I went to Pato and said, "Hey, Pato, what do you think?" He said, "What's Ubuntu, Guard?" And so again, we're educating, and in one word, you have the gospel of the kingdom. I am because we are because I am. When you put those together, you have the fatherhood of God and the brotherhood of man, and everybody is resonating. We have meetings every Thursday with people from all over Africa, and we just sent our first scholarship student to Ashesi University in Ghana, and her name is Hope in her native language. And so again, this is seed sowing time. This is a time where we won't see much of the fruit of our labors, but we know that the direction of the planet is toward beloved community. It is toward seeing the sanctity of every person before us. And it is helping to unleash the unique gift that every human being has during their lifetime on this planet. So it's an exciting, Gandhi called it Satyagraha, an experiment in truth. It's an exciting experiment in truth. And what I can report is that we are about 7 years in, and these communities are there. And as Sherry will tell you, Lillian was actually part of the teacher education program, and she's very much a part of what we're doing in Africa as well. And she's doing great work with unwed mothers in Kitui County, and we're doing great work in the 2nd largest slum in Nairobi in Kenya, providing education. So this is what happens when we begin to see and truly understand the significance of personality, and to allow that to sort of move through our hearts in a way that allows us to see, even if it's a smile, that we can be part of the transformation of the planet. So, any questions about the Ubuntu project? So as I say, we're doing projects in Pakistan and other places as well.
If they put their hand up, there's a way, either, there's Diane's hand. You can do that by clicking on reactions below, and then it'll give you an opportunity to raise your hand or react with the thumbs up or hearts and various other ways. So go ahead, Diane.
Hey, Diane.
I'm very encouraged by what you say, to say the least. And it's been a goal of the Los Angeles Society, UBLA, to do projects. And we have put out the invite for those who might want to do projects to join us. And I'm wondering what kind of a mini project or a society level project could spin off from some of the things you're doing, or even add to them.
Oh, Compassionate Las Vegas is part of a network of 500 compassionate communities from Karachi to Monterey to Rotterdam to London, Nottingham. And each of us has different focus. So we have 5 major areas, Diane. We have the environment, we have mental health, we have education, we have social justice, and we have homelessness, right? As our 5 issue areas. And I will tell you, in some of those areas, we're not doing big, great things, but we're doing things. So we have a community around the homeless, which is a 150 bed motel that we've converted into a homeless shelter, where we're bringing people in off the street and we're helping them with their addiction issues. And we're creating community there, beloved community. We have a garden there. On the environmental side is a big one. We have the largest school-based garden program called greenourplanet.org. And if you could just bring a garden to one school, that would be huge, because we have curriculum K through 12, which is approved by the Clark County School District and would be approved by the LA County School District. I've talked to school district officials in LA, and they'd be thrilled to see this starting to emerge in Los Angeles. But to put a child's hand in the soil, to have them connect with Mother Earth, to have them begin to relate to how food is created and why the integrity of food is really important. This is huge. And it also, I think, connects, if you will, to the feminine side of deity as we begin to appreciate how we are nourished and taken care of by Earth. Yeah, does that? And so restorative justice, we're doing restorative work. Here's the deal. I don't care whether you're Republican, Independent, or Democrat. Most people have bought into the retributive system of justice, which is throw in jail. So we've suggested, as the master suggested, is God makes no trash. And so we have created Restorative Nevada. You can look at it, restorativenevada.com. And we have many, many cases now where the Attorney General, the DA, the Metropolitan Police Department have now said, yes, we want to begin to institute this. Because not only is it cheaper, but it's also a person's life. So a 14-year-old kid, quick story, he was part of a gang at Rancho High School here in Nevada. And he was accused by the hall monitor of threat to his life. And we created a restorative circle. And in the restorative circle, the restorative facilitator looked across. He saw on the hall monitor's arm a tattoo. And he said, I recognize that tattoo. That's East LA. That's the Machuca gang. And the hall monitor said, yeah, how'd you know that? He said, I'm from East LA. I know the gangs and I know the tattoos. And then my friend, Pastor Troy, looked him in the eye and he said, he didn't threaten your life, did he? And the hall monitor said, no, he didn't, but he's a member of a gang and he doesn't deserve to be in the school. And then we turned to the 14-year-old and we said, so you have something you want to share? And he said, friends, I'm 14 years old. I'm a kid. And all I want is out of that gang. All I want is to follow the trade of my grandfather. All I want is a new life. And so we created that for him. And he has a whole new life. And that may just be one starfish, but that's one starfish that went back into the ocean.
Wonderful.
So how can we coordinate with the things you already have going and make a mini chapter in here? We'll talk about that off this program.
Yeah, Diane, you can go to compassionatelv.org and there you can see our podcasts. You can see the work that we're doing. We have over 350 nonprofit leaders, members of the public service, in government and in public service. And it's fascinating.
The chat guard so that we can all sort of copy it.
What's that? I'll put it in the chat. Yeah.
Yeah, can you put that where you said to go and then maybe we can copy it?
Yeah, there it is. It's in. So, all right. So, yeah. So it's just, again, big things, little things. It's incredible. So San Diego, I think Dick's still on the line. San Diego, this last August, we have what we call Restorative Justice Day. We had the Camisa family come up, and the Camisa family's son, Tarek, was murdered. He was a pizza driver in San Diego. A gangbanger came up to the window and said, give me the pizza. He didn't give him the pizza and he murdered him. Well, now that individual, Tony Hicks, is on the board of the Camisa Family Foundation.
Yeah.
While he was in prison, they went through the forgiveness process, and to see the love there that day, August 29th, Friday, just a few weeks ago, was absolutely amazing as the sister of Tariq was hugging Tony and Tony was hugging Tariq. So again, this is the master's program, and we've got to do more than just, again, talk about the revelation. We've got to show people that these principles actually do work. Steve.
Well, those who might want to be involved in something,
yeah,
you can put your email in the text.
Yeah.
And or put your name saying you are interested, and we'll get in touch with you. And if we cook up something that we can handle at our level,
yeah,
and be a participant, this would be great.
Yeah, we say start small. We started small in our clinic, Diane, and about 10 years in, the Board of Pharmacy came down and says, this is no longer a closet. You guys are giving away $7 million of free meds every year. You are an official pharmacy. You've got to register with us. And so we did. But we started small. We started with a closet of insulin and various drugs that were helping people deal with their situation. Yeah. Steve, you're on mute.
Okay. Yeah. So, is there a way that we can contribute to Pato's effort? I think he is accepting donations, right?
Yeah, we're just creating that portal now, Steve. And again, we're building schools, we're sending kids to college, and my next dream is to create a healthcare clinic because they do not have access to healthcare in a lot of these communities. And so the healthcare clinic will be a nursing school. We already have one in Uganda, but I want to start one in Zimbabwe. Yeah.
Okay. I know there are a lot of students in Uganda.
Yes, there are.
Yeah.
Pato was just there at a big gathering. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, great work, man.
Yeah. Well, we're just doing what we can.
Yeah. All right.
Darlene.
And to get the mouse to the clicker. I am just so excited. Thank you, Linda, for connecting me back to us. This is awesome. This is truly a connecting time. And it's been a long time, and there's just so many coincidences happening. And you probably saw my great-granddaughter, one of my 31 great-granddaughters here. Okay. And her mother walked in just as this was starting. And I've been talking about Pato and what he's been doing and et cetera, et cetera. And they are like mesmerized. You saw her. She couldn't leave me. I said, well, you want to sit on my lap? And she said, no, I might break your leg. And I said, oh, that's not. So these are the things as having coincidences are happening over and over. This past couple weeks have really been, about the last 3 weeks have been one coincidence after another coincidence after another coincidence. So my thing is, when the timing is right and we've really begun pulling together and working in truly unity, each of us have been doing a little here and a little there and a little here and a little there and a little here and a little there. And now it's starting to work together. And this is the first real sign of what I've been feeling, and having gone through near-death experiences over the last couple of years. It's so wonderful to have hope. For the first time, we really do have hope again that we're going to be doing this. And so many things are happening that have been tragic on our planet. But the last tragedy that just happened is going to help us, with so many things. And our 20 acres is sitting here, and my granddaughter's saying, yeah, that's what you've been talking about. Yeah, that's what you've been talking about. And my granddaughter's sitting over here saying the same thing. They got so excited that everything that we've been talking about all these years, Grandma, this is really happening. Yeah, but you have to trust God and stay within yourself and do what you're led to do, each of us. So I'm hoping that this was recorded, because I have a lot of people that'll be really wanting to see this. So do you have it recorded? Is it available to us?
It is being recorded.
Okay, great. Awesome. Thank you. You just gave me the hope that I needed to keep on going.
And Darlene, it isn't coincidences. It's serendipity, synergy, and synchronicity. That is the manifestation. Like when those things are starting to happen in your life, God's will is manifesting itself.
Exactly.
Angels are supporting you. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Miss Betsy.
Yes, well, Darlene is a hard act to follow here, but I had a question actually about something that you touched on at the beginning of your talk, and it was about the concept that Trinity is within each of us. And I have to tell you, what happened was I sort of got into thinking about that, and I was trying to take some notes, and I didn't take a complete note. So I just wonder if you might touch on that again. I just love that concept.
Well, we know, in fact, that the thought gesture indwells us. It's at the heart of our personalities, at the heart of our soul. And we know, in fact, that the Spirit of truth, which is the Spirit of Jesus or the eternal Son, indwells us. And we know, in fact, that the Holy Spirit. So my sense is that the thought adjuster's primary mission is to help us know that we are the beloved, that we are
And
loved.
that's a fragment of God, right? And that it's actually a fragment of God. Yeah.
And the Spirit of truth is there to nudge us a little bit, to move us toward action. And I call it the move of compassion. So oftentimes the eternal Son is referred to as the eternal mother. And so it's the compassion of a mother. And so compassion is not sufficient. Compassion must turn into action, which is what the Holy Spirit drives. The power of the Holy Spirit creates the energy which moves that water wheel, which creates the bread inside of that beautiful place. Yeah. So you have to have all three. You have to know that you're loved. You have to look around and see the suffering around you and ask yourself, what can I do? And then you need to take what we call, I hope you've all seen the movie, What About Bob? We need to take baby steps, right? We need to take baby steps and move in that direction.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
What was
And
the movie name? What about who?
What About Bob? Yeah, it's a very funny movie. You'll get a kick out of it. I see Steve is giving me a reality response.
Doreen, you have your hand up.
Yes, Miss Doreen, how are you?
Oh, thanks. Hi, Gard. Thanks so much for your presentation. It's wonderful, very inspiring. I just wanted to go back to the beginning where you were talking about everybody having a mission going out, right, and meeting people. I've been doing that for years, but I wanted to tell you, I live in the most diverse city in the United States. From every country in the world lives here. And it's wonderful, but the young people today, I mean, Jesus was my inspiration as he passed by. And I love people, so it's so easy for me to talk to everyone. Nevertheless, I'm walking, and I walk everywhere, you don't have to drive. And I say, good morning, hello, and they're walking with their earbuds, they're looking straight ahead, nobody looks at you, and you're talking to yourself. And it's amazing. I mean, I meet a great deal of other people, but it's so amazing how the culture has changed. It's hard to explain, but they're in their own world. It's like there's a wall up between them and people, and they're just going through the motions. Now, what I find is wonderful is everywhere I go, it's not me, it's this, I know the angels bring people to me. If I'm sitting on a bus, on a train, by the waterfront, any place, people come and sit next to me and we start chatting. And I tell them, eventually, I mean, I have nothing rehearsed. It has to just be natural to me or I couldn't do it. So, a lot of people ask, well, what do you do and where are you from and blah, blah, blah. And I tell them, and the less I tell them, the more they want to know. That's the secret. So I said, well, I work for a non-for-profit and I do a lot of, outreach and stuff. And they said, what's the name of it? Oh, you would have never heard of it. Tell me the name. I tell them, no, I never heard of it. So I met a guy one day. He's sitting on a bench, the same as myself, but on one end, and I was another, maybe an hour. I was just reading a book, and we were quiet. And then I got up to leave, and he stopped me, and he said, oh, let me ask you a question. And he just started a conversation. He says, what do you do? I says, well, I study religious philosophy and, origins, history, destiny. And he said, I know philosophy. I've read every philosophy book there is. And I said, I bet you there's one you haven't. And he says, no, I'm telling you, I read everyone. What's the name of it? I said, the Urantia book. No, you're right. I did. Well, we had a wonderful conversation after that. And he right away put it on his phone. Everybody takes out their phone, puts the name in, spell it for them. And we became friends. He doesn't live up here. His wife is a stewardess. He comes up to see her maybe once a month or whatever. And he lives like Maryland, I think, or Virginia, something like that. Now, he started reading the book, and he writes to me every so often. And he said, I'm coming up again. Doreen, could we meet in the same place? Sure. It was an amazing thing. He said to me, you know why I stopped you? He said, a voice in my head said, stop that woman. You need to talk to her. I said, what? Well, he's extremely spiritual, really, really amazing. He has his own group, I guess, he preaches to, whatever. But the feeling, the connection we made is like in the soul. And it's like you just fall in love with somebody immediately. And this is a man of color that, and you know, it didn't matter to me because every time I say, look, you know, there's one creator, right? One God, and we're all his children. So we're all connected. And everybody agrees with that. I'm telling you, it is an amazing thing how many people recognize that, yes, we are all connected by, you know, mind, personality, whatever. And it was like I fell in love with him and he with me. And not in the way you think it is, I mean, spiritually. And we talked for hours. So that's just one person, but it's so easy to connect with people. It's almost like what you said, somebody said, if there's no coincidence, there's no coincidences.
Oh, thank you, Doreen. That was a great story.
Yeah,
Thank you for sharing.
Okay.
Gard may have some more things to add to it.
Yeah, no, Doreen, that's fantastic. And again, Spirit of Truth is very helpful in helping us discern, you know, who should I be talking to today? That's one of my prayers when I start the day after doing 20 minutes of worship. I tell people, Diane, 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the evening, is God worth it? As Richard Keeler knows, I used to tell him, and he used to love the story, right? God wants a divine appointment with each of us. And if he knocked on the door, would you give him 20 minutes? I think so. And so again, making that commitment to those 20 minutes and then saying, well, now what do you want me to do out there in the world? And then looking and following the Spirit of Truth, as Doreen has just suggested. You know, here's a young man who looks curious, and here's an opportunity to open my heart to this individual. So again, as I tell people, I just follow my wife around. She's my inspiration for years. And she and I, you know, Diane, were in the marriage class with dear Julia Fenderson back in the day when Julia
Wow.
was in the marriage class.
Long time ago.
Long time ago. And I'm a former UBLA member and SIFBAUS member and Arizona member. And now we theoretically have a society in Nevada, but I'm not sure what Marvin's doing with it. But anyway, I have a deep affection for all of you in LA. And it's just a matter of asking the question, you know, what do you want me to do today? And again, it's, as Teresa of Calcutta said, it's not big things, it's little things with big love.
Yeah. So if I may,
I think you fired up everybody to want to go into action. So I'm hoping that there's some connecting person who operates the starting or the contributions that come in, either labor or money, to all of your wonderful projects. You've started enough projects to occupy us all for a long time. Just tell us how.
My wife and I say we don't go to bed at night, Diane, we pass out. So,
I can relate to that.
yeah. So I thank you for the time. In fact, next week, and I'm going to be with the New York Society talking about resiliency in uncertain times, talking about the neuroscience. A friend of mine, Rick Hansen, has written a book called Buddha's Brain, and Andrew Newberg up at the University of Pennsylvania. But we've learned a lot about how to be resilient in times that are difficult. And I don't know about any of you, but I'm finding the current times very difficult, crushing my heart.
Is there a way that we can get the link to that sent to the folks that are here on this call who would
I
like?
would send it to Mr. Calabrese, and he can throw it up into the wind.
Yeah, when I send out the recording, I could then add the chat to it, I think. And if you put it in the chat, it'll be there.
Yeah. Well, he came Rick Hansen came last November and gave a wonderful talk at UNLV. And I think that's the key to each of us as children of God, is to find the resources of resilience that allow us to carry on the good work. Yeah. Not easy. It's not easy.
And you keep thinking up new things.
Keep picking up. Always a learner. This week I'm teaching Confucius, and Confucius said something very profound. He said, I can learn from the good and I can learn from the bad. And then I tell my students, I learned a lot from my dad. I tell you one more story about my dad. So my dad was in college in 1941 when Pearl Harbor hit, and he went back to Annapolis to become what was called then a 90-day wonder. They would turn you into an officer and a gentleman in 90 days at the academies if you passed the tests. So my dad was somebody who really enjoyed partying and was not much for academics. And so the fateful day of electrical engineering came, Phil. It was could be on a Monday, the exam, and he was sitting down at the soda shop in Annapolis, feeling miserable that he was not going to become an officer, that he was going to be cleaning decks. And he noticed a young lady at the end of the counter, and like my dad would do, he introduced himself, only to find out this was the daughter of the professor of electrical engineering. Whoa. And my dad was quite a salesman. He got himself invited home that night for family dinner. Now that takes a little bit. The same night, Friday night, got home. And the professor was there with his wife and his daughter. And my dad started talking about his ranches in Corona, where we had orange and avocado and lemon ranches before all the housing went up. And told the professor, boy, it'd be lovely to have a nice big family. And his daughter, he was looking at his daughter, looking at my dad and thinking, this could be interesting. And then my dad said, you probably don't recognize me, but I'm in that very large class in electrical engineering. It's such a tough class. And I just don't know. And the professor invited him over the next morning, Saturday, to do a little review. And so they sat down that morning on Saturday, and there were 10 questions that they reviewed. You appreciate this, Steve. And my dad went, whoa, those were hard questions. And the professor said, well, you kind of got it, Frankie, but I want you to come back on Sunday and we'll do a little more review. So he came back on Sunday morning. He's given up 2 of his days and his evening on Friday for this fellow who he didn't even know. And guess what, Steve? It was the same 10 questions. I'm an accountant and I can put 1 and 1 together, right? If Phil is showing me 10 problems in math and I get the same 10 the next day, I'm kind of looking forward to the exam.
Yeah.
So sort of a moment here, because my dad's roommate at Annapolis, his name was Idner, I-D-N-E-R. And I don't care who you are. If your name is Idner, you're smart. And he was the brain trust of Annapolis. So after an hour and a half, my dad walks out of the exam back to the room, and Idner, after 4 hours sweating bullets, is told it's the end. And he goes back to the room and he said to my dad, I guess you decided to hang it up. And my dad said, it wasn't all that bad. And that's how my father became an officer and a gentleman in the U.S. Navy.
Well,
he ran the crap game in the engine room.
Oh my.
oh, that's wonderful.
I've learned from him a lot of things, both good and bad, as I'm sure you all have.
Well, the persistence got him through.
Yeah.
Like our persistence.
Forward to your book. Steve, what's the name of your book?
The Personalist View of Spirit and Creative Freedom.
By the way, you're in Rhode Island. If you ever want to come over to Boston University, I can introduce you to the Dean of Theology and a few people there, where Borden Parker Bone was the professor of philosophy for many years. And then...
Oh, okay. I got one of my degrees from there, but I don't really know all the big mucky mucks.
Yeah, no, I'll let you know the next time I'm going back, probably be in this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Well, thank you all. It's been a delight to be with you. Betsy, nice to meet you, my friend. And Beth, nice to meet you. And Darlene there in Indiana with your 20 acres and your beautiful children and grandchildren, 31. You are a prolific young lady, Darlene. Linda, we'll see you maybe tomorrow. And Jimmy, always a joy to see you, my friend. And
Good to
thank
see
you all. And
I
Diane.
have to give credit to my husband. We had 7 children, and we have all of our children all live in the Southern Indiana area.
Oh my
And my
gosh.
father was military, Air Force, and I traveled all over the planet. And so we decided, my husband was a major in the Army, and we decided when he was going to go for light colonel that we were going to get out of the service because life had changed so much from all the time that I had done. And thank you for mentioning Julia Fenderson. That's how I know the book about the papers. When I was a teenager, getting ready to go to Japan, she brought it to our across the streets neighbor, and I happened to be over there visiting, and she said, "You girls will want to read," and she opened up the book to the Jesus papers.
Yeah.
Well, as Diane,
Place to start.
we called Julia the creative mother spirit of the West Coast. You know,
Yes.
Yes.
she was phenomenal.
Another
Are there
one of
any
those
other
coincidences.
Are there any other questions before Gard has to go? We got a few minutes.
I just want to say thank you very much for today. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes.
Wonderful.
And I want to thank you, Gard, for bringing this marvelous story of your life and service and your wife's. And again, add anything to it we possibly can.
Well, and I'll tell you something that Mo and I are working on, which is every epical revelation had a educational center. And so we're working with Elizabeth Callahan and others to create what I call an educational/cultural center. We don't know where it'll be, but it'll be a campus and it will be global. It'll be near an international airport. And Steve, if you have any ideas, let us know. But we want to create that so that we can begin to do more in the way of letting that benign virus of love from the revelation out into the world.
Yeah.
Marvelous. Well, now you are doing many travels and talks like this everywhere. So if there's someone we could contact to continue, because many people want to do something but don't know what to do, is there a coordinator in your organization that we could talk to?
Well, Pato is a very accessible. He's right down the street from you guys in Lake Elsinore, and and you can always send me an email. I'm maybe a day or two late on responding, but I will always respond.
Thank you so much for coming today.
Yeah, thank you.
Marvelous
Well,
talk.
yeah. See you soon.
Take care of yourself.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yes, we could. We've done it all here today, and I'm really happy about it. And so I just want to say it's been a great time to be with you all.
Thank you.
We look
Thank
forward
you.
to seeing you next time.
Thank you.
And
Watch your emails.
we'll have I guess it'll be a while before we Zoom again, but we'll have a Thanksgiving event if you could make it up to Anaheim.
A big Thanksgiving dinner with all the trimmings.
Yep. Free.
Well, thanks for coming.
All right, everybody. I'm gonna
Bye.
close this off.
Okay.
Good night, everybody.